Just a couple weeks ago, the Supreme Court laid down one of their big rulings when it came to New York State and their gun laws. So maybe this is potentially in response, because the state has now passed new gun legislation that will particularly cause people or force folks that want to buy new guns to have to submit their social media presence. Let law enforcement sift through their stuff and see what they've been saying, and maybe will say after they get their gun and maybe carry out. Now, they were looking for character and conduct things that are on these pages. And of course, because we've seen many of these recent mass shooters, we find these documents or these posts or these videos that they posted that they said basically what they're going to do. So it sounds like it's a good idea. Maybe not. Let's go into this. Because under the law, applicants have to provide local officials with the list of current and former social media accounts from the previous 3 years. It will be up to local sheriff staff, judges, or county clerks to scroll through those profiles as they check whether applicants have made statements suggesting dangerous behavior. This new requirement, which takes effect in September, was included in a law passed last week that sought to preserve some limits on firearms after I mentioned that Supreme Court ruling that most people have a right to carry a handgun for personal protection. It was signed by Governor Kathy Hochul, a Democrat who noted shooters sometimes telegraph their intent to hurt others. Now, there's a less controversial part about this bill when it comes to training and things like that, where they have to undergo multiple hours of safety training, prove that they're proficient at shooting. I'm not sure about that part. I'm not sure we want people with better aim, but also provide 4 character references and sit in for in-person interviews. But there's some debate over this, as I mentioned. Let's go into that, because it's an approach that's applauded by many Democrats and national gun control advocacy groups. But some experts have raised questions about how the law will be enforced and address free speech concerns. Some of the local officials who have been tasked with reviewing the social media content are also asking whether they'll have the resources, and in some cases, whether the law is even constitutional. Now, sheriffs haven't received any additional information or money or staffing to handle this new application process. That's what Peter Kehoe said, who's an executive director of the New York Sheriff's Association. Now, this law, he asserted, infringes on Second Amendment rights, and while applicants must list their social media accounts, he doesn't think local officials will necessarily look at them. I don't think we would do that. I think it would be a constitutional invasion of privacy. Now, some people may want to see some of the things that went into some of these guys' accounts and that they posted, so we can find it out. And that's honestly sometimes my first thought as well. But then there's all of this other trusting of people that we have to go into. Let's a little bit more about this then. Often the sticking point is, how do we go about enforcing this? That's what Metro State University criminal justice professor James Dinsley said. He said, I think it starts to open up a bit of a can of worms because no one quite knows the best way to go about doing it. It can be tricky to decode social media posts by younger people who could simply be expressing themselves by posting a music video. Then Desmond Upton Patton, he also founded a research initiative studying violence involving youth of color. Specifically, he said this: the question could be, can we do this in an anti-racist way that does not create another set of violence, which is the state violence that happens through surveillance? There's a lot of nuance and contextual issues. We speak differently, how we communicate. That could be misunderstood, and I'm concerned that we don't have the right people or the right tools in place to do this in a way that's useful in actually preventing violence. And that's the second thought I had. Of course, we're thinking, hey, let's find out what these guys are saying and doing and thinking, because we always look into it later. But when they're trying to buy those guns, which many of them do the day before they commit this next murder or 2 days beforehand, we see all of this backlog history of horrific things that they've said and done. But it may not always be the right folks targeted. We've seen this when it comes to other kinds of things where confiscation goes. Certain groups of people that have always been the oppressed group are the first to be monitored and then their rights taken away.
Yeah, so I love the law except for the social media part. I'm split on the social media part, and I'm curious what you guys think. But the rest of it, the need for training and safety and references, all those things are great. I would make them even more stringent, like Japan does, and Japan has almost no shootings. I mean, I know it's ironic on a day where there was a shooting in Japan, but we did that story for you guys earlier. Our rate of shootings per capita are 200 times Japan's, 200 times, adjusted for population, okay? So great job in New York in making the laws much tougher. When it comes to the social media part, look, when you leave it up to the cops to decide who's saying things wrong online, they could do a great job and they can say, oh, well, look at that guy, man, Jesus, he's threatening to kill people. let's go act, right? And that makes sense. And so then I would want them to look at the social media. On the other hand, cops are notoriously right-wing, and they always manage to somehow only look and find left-wing problems on social media, right? And it'll be like, oh, there'll be like a right-winger saying, oh, I'm gonna murder 17 people at the Wendy's at that particular corner, and they'll be like, I couldn't see it, right? And there'll be a left-winger going, I'm thinking of protesting an oil pipeline. They'll be like, sounds dangerous, all right, let's go arrest them, right? So, let alone black and brown people, et cetera. And by the way, the head of the Sheriff's Association in New York said, we're not gonna do it anyway. And that's the other problem with cops. All right, Maz, what do you think?
This sounds like a pretty bad idea overall. First of all, I don't trust anybody who's got a private social media page. Like, what are you hiding? Put it out there. You're either out there or you're not. So that's number one. Number two, if some guy is going to go kill somebody and he knows he's gonna go buy a gun, he could just go on his social media and delete those
100%.
I'm gonna kill Tom posts the day before he goes to kill Tom, and they get the gun. So you can clear your page before. Thirdly, I don't know about you guys. I don't know who's gonna, like, I think the sheriff or somebody said, we don't have enough manpower to do all this. I don't know about you guys, but if I get on social media and I start looking at one thing, I'm quickly distracted and I'm on something else. So you're gonna end up with a bunch of people who are trying to find the killer, but they're like, oh, but look at this funny dog. It's not gonna work. It's a bad idea. And the problem is, it's a bad idea because we are afraid to implement the good ideas, which is let's get rid of some of these guns and high capacity magazines. You see, back in the day, you guys, mental health problems have always existed, but people that had enough mental health problems to want to do damage to somebody, back in the day when I was a kid, those people would go and maybe abuse a pet, and you knew, you're like, oh, that guy's off. And then you would try to intervene to get him off his offness. And if it worked, then he would end up somewhere being, rehabilitated. But if it didn't work, he would grow up and become a serial killer. And it would take him 10 months to kill 20 people. But now this country has enabled people with mental health problems to go and buy an automatic, a semi-automatic weapon with high capacity and go shoot people. And then they're saying, let's look at their Instagram page to see if they posted it before. They might have, or they might not have. We also got a lot of guys who people go, I never knew he was such a good guy. He was always out there walking the dog and giving cookies to people. I didn't know. So all of this BS that the NRA tries to say a good guy with a cop is gonna stop a bad guy with a cop, or mental health issues, all of that stuff is BS. The real issue is we have too many guns. We have too much access to guns. The bullets are too lethal. The magazines are too high capacity. And this idea, they are not, listen, the people that are trying to stop gun violence are just throwing stuff against the wall that they're like, maybe, okay, what if we just looked at everybody's Instagram pages? Would that help? Maybe, but it seems highly unlikely that it's ever gonna be able to happen. Because again, no one's gonna be able to withstand when Instagram tells you, check out this video of dogs. You're gonna be distracted. You're gonna miss the guy who's the killer.
Okay, Maz with 2 brilliant points. Cops already hate working. So if you let him go on social media, that's it. They won't solve another crime for the rest of the decade. But the other point is, I never thought about it that way. You never, you never hear about serial killers anymore. Do they even exist? Because we made killing so easy in America that the serial killer is like, oh, this is too much work. Well, I'm just get a gun and kill everybody, and they're just gonna let me do it. What am I gonna spend 20 years and then bury their body in the desert and all that stuff? No, I just go kill them all right now. And so, congratulations, America.
And actually, sadly, the other part about that, Maz, that he pointed out was, we've got these types of folks. Like, there's a Democratic governor here who signed this bill, of course. So folks that are trying to do something or think they're trying to do something, they may find themselves in a position where their ideas could be flawed, as there's flaws in this idea. Then you set yourselves up for conservatives and Republicans to say, hey, look at them trying to take away your rights. Look how flawed this idea is, because they're trying to avoid the real solution, which is we have to take care of how many guns are circulating through, and these kinds of guns that are circulating through so many people's hands, and they're easy to obtain, and that's one of the main problems. But they can't talk about that because they're afraid or because they're paid to not talk about it. So you have to go for something else that's actually flawed, then you look even worse, then you keep losing, then after you lose again. It's just how these things work in this country when it comes to
the NRA's new line is going to be guns don't kill people, Instagram kills people. That's their new tagline.
They're working on it. Don't give them any ideas.
It'll work, and they'll ban Instagram before they ban guns.